Alright, welcome back to Threzzy and the D's. So, today we're going to talk on a topic that isn't always the funnest thing to talk about. First off, I'm going to start off asking around my table, always with us, Jared.
Always with us.
And behind the camera we got Art. And first off, I'm just gonna start out by asking you, when the thought of depression comes up in your mind, what's the first thought you think of?
I don't know, bro. It's like you hate everything.
Hate
sad
everything.
all the time. It's not being sad because sadness goes away. You just like tired and you like don't have the energy to deal with anything. Makes you more irritable. Let me say it real quick. Sorry. It's like a veil over everything.
A veil?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like there's something blocking you from
Doing whatever you want to do?
Right. Yeah.
Alright, Art, what about you? When you think of depression, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I deserve to be depressed.
I deserve to
That's
be-
what first comes to mind.
That's what first comes to mind. See, when I think of depression, the only thing that comes to mind is reasons why I'm depressed. Memories. Things. Like, I don't think of, like, the clinical dictionary word of depression. Depression is individual, okay? Because if we're going to talk about a mass-wide depression, that's oppression. You know what I mean?
Yeah, brother.
So,
Preach.
depression, there's so many levels of depression. There's clinical depression. There's seasonal depression. There's postpartum, which is, for pregnant women. And then it goes even into deeper ones where it's like, if you actually have, mental disorders. Like for instance, like there's like a majority bipolar and a minor bipolar, and that screens into how you feel. So I guess from a point of view, like I asked my wife,
Right.
tonight, I asked her, I said, how did you feel last pregnancy? And last pregnancy, what we had was a completely different pregnancy than what we had now. And she did have postpartum depression afterwards. The postpartum depression that she had after her first child was that she definitely had problems with feeling alone, even though there was many people around you. When like I said, with my interpretation of what I think depression is, my interpretation is I always think of why memories that I feel depressed about. Okay, so before I ask you the question, think of one memory basically that is a part of your depression and is like something that you think of.
My depression, like you were saying, is caused completely. I don't have memories that cause my depression. My depression was entirely caused, like you said, through oppression. Like I'm mentally disabled. Like coming up through school, I had to be in all the special ed classes, right? I can't read well. I'm dyslexic. I have, I can't do math. Like I'm terrible at all these things, right? And so having to work at work, like going to work every day and being expected to do the same amount of work as everyone else just wasn't possible for me. And so my bosses would always treat me terrible. So my depression was literally because I shouldn't have been working.
Yeah.
Like that's what, yeah. And it now that I have stopped working and I'm on disability, my depression is almost non-existent. I'm getting to see, I get to do a bunch of stuff that I wouldn't get to do otherwise.
Well, yeah, and I hear what you're saying, and out of what I can pick out of that is that your bosses were treating you bad, but you just felt like you weren't doing enough for your bosses,
Yeah.
or you didn't care if you did good for your bosses, or whatever reason. It's still it's personable, and you do kind of have a memory out of that in a way.
Well, yeah.
Because you felt like I wasn't good enough to do all these things, and people were expecting me to do them.
Exactly.
What about you, Arthur? What's one memory that you can think of immediately that is a part of your depression?
So, like Jared, my depression is not based in memories. It's more so fear of what might happen in the future or what might not happen.
Right.
Kind of feeling hopeless, like
Yeah.
my life's not gonna go anywhere.
And some of that might be rooted in the past. Like my depression is rooted in the past for me because I was born disabled, right? Like dyslexia and all this other shit. And like some people might have fucked up in the past, which might cause them to now have a you feel like you messed up, like you kind of ruined your future type shit. Yeah.
I also want to interject in there saying, like, it seems like it's also because depression does go with anxiety, and you can be depressed because you have anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
And from what you've just said and what you've just said is that you guys will be depressed because you have to do something a certain way because you don't want that person to think a certain way about you.
Yeah, sort of. It's like a societal. Sometimes, it would be. My depression is a societal issue.
Right.
It was oppression. Like I'm expected to do more than I'm capable of. That's.
Or you don't feel like you can. Even if you tried to do what you think is expected,
I wouldn't be able to get up to
you
the
feel
task.
like you couldn't do it.
Right. Well, not as well as I wanted,
or even if you do, it's not going to get you anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, I have severe bipolar 2 disorder, which my life is a roller coaster. Like I'll feel super happy. I'll feel like I rule the fucking world one day, and then the next couple days, I just wake up depressed. I just wake up depressed. And what keeps that going, that depression going, is me worrying about the future. Oh, my life's never gonna fucking amount to anything. You know, I don't have a fair shot at life. You know.
Right.
I'm
You
not
haven't
treated the same as other people.
Your depression is basically what you're saying is like, and I have another thing to say on this too is, but from you basically are saying is that your worries, whether it's you worry about you want to do something, or you worry that you're expected to do something, and you're depressed because you either feel like you can't do it, or you don't, or you feel like you don't know where to start to do it. Because I had my friend Chandler. He told me this. He said it's always a fight. So if depression is personal, depression is a fight of your mind and how you do certain things. Now, obviously, in life, we all have certain routines, and sometimes having a routine is good, sometimes having a routine is bad. It all depends on the habit and how you feel about it. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is like, if you're fighting because of depression, that is a fight that you gotta win. You gotta win. And it's not easy, and it's never gonna be easy. But
yeah, it literally makes you feel worthless and like there's no point in living.
So I'm gonna put you guys in a situation now. Okay? You have a job. It's a good job, enough to pay your weekly rent, you know, to survive and live and move along. You might be able to save a little here and there, but everything's paid for, everything's good, and you have an equivalent amount of time to go do what you want to do. Well, you have a little bit of troubles go through. The way I look at it is, one day you wake up, it's that first day after you had, like, say, you can't get paid for a week, right? That doesn't affect you. Your bills are paid. You have enough time to make it up, right? But you, like I said, you don't have work for a week. Okay, that first day that you wake up, you're kind of like, all right, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to do that routine. I don't want to, I don't have to do anything. Do what I want, and you'll go out of routine and enjoy it and kind of please yourself. But then that second day comes around, And it might be similar to the first day, but to a less extent. You're not as giddy happy that you don't have to go away. By that third day, you will start to have that feeling of like you want the normalness of the routine back.
Is it that you want the normalness of the routine, or you want the stability of knowing you don't have to worry?
Right.
Which one of them is it, Rob? Because
could be both.
I haven't worked in over a year and a half, and
you feel great.
And I feel fucking great. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Right. Right.
The only thing stopping me is that I have a limited amount of money.
Right. But
like I could come to your house every single fucking day and hang out if I had enough money.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is you can't say it's one or the other. It's personal. Yeah. So maybe for you, it would have been the worry of going back to work, and for me it was the worry of I'm not at work and I want to have my routine that is normal. Now, what I'm saying, the point of all this is that the way that I feel about depression is that it is a fight. When you wake up in the morning, how you look about life in the morning, I feel like is the most important thing. If you wake up and you're still tired and you let that tiredness almost make you a grump, you're gonna feel like a grump, and things that could happen around you that would, if you were happy, you would be like, wow, that's pretty, okay? Here's an instance. You wake up, you're tired, you went to sleep playing video games, having fun the night before, but you have to wake up at a certain time. You gotta wake up at 7 every morning. No matter what reason, okay? You went to sleep at 1 last night, you woke up at 7, but you had such a great night the night before playing video games that you woke up happy and everything was happy. You looked out, the first thing you do is you open up the window. Yeah, it's muggy out, it's rainy, it's not really a very bright looking day. But you're like, wow, it's raining, the rain looks nice today. The clouds, it's, it's got a little chill, the chill's kind of nice, whatever, right? That second day you woke up, and you may have gone to bed at a good time, and you didn't feel like you didn't get the sleep back, or whatever. You wake up grumpy, you look out the window, it's the same scenario. But because you woke up that little differently, and you chose to let the grumbles or other things, worry you, you looked out at the rain that was the same condition. Yeah. And you're like, fuck that rain.
See, I don't think that that's a choice, though. I don't see. This is a big thing that I'm thinking about in my life currently, is the illusion of free will. Like, how much do you believe that you are in control of everything in your life? Like, you're in control of even your own decisions? Because the idea that it is your choice to be upset at something, or to be sad or happy about even the darkest things, to me is absurd. I would even contend that you don't even have free will.
So, I agree and disagree. Depression just happens.
Right, yeah. For me, especially.
However, you can choose how you react to it, what you think. Like, you can choose that. There's a thing in dialectical behavioral therapy called opposite to emotion.
Yeah.
Where if you feel like shit, you don't want to get out of bed, you force yourself to get up.
Yes, where when you think to yourself, when you have an intrusive thought such as, I wish I didn't exist, I should be dead, I'm a terrible person, you can go, actually, no, I'm not, right?
Right.
But I would even contend that your brain thinking the first thought, the intrusive thought, was not you choosing to do that, and nor is you choosing. You choosing to say the opposite is also not a choice. It is a chain of events based on past experiences and knowledge. There is no free will. See, everything is just happening because of past events that have transpired before. That is my opinion, my hypothesis.
Where I disagree there the first thought, the thought that comes from depression, that is automatic. But the second thought, that comes from knowledge. You're using
Right,
logic.
but knowledge is
You're
just
using
past
logic.
experiences.
Right. But say
I'm
you've
saying-
been through therapy like me.
Yes.
I know there are things I can do
To change
to
your...
shift.
Yeah. But
So that's part of my
your
knowledge.
knowledge is just a past experience that you are using.
Yeah, but you
To-
could. But you could. With
Right, and
theory.
I'm saying that you don't actually have that choice because you already know that is a thing.
I can choose not to.
Right, you could choose.
But you
not-
didn't, though.
I do sometimes.
This is
If you want to really get
statement.
philosophical, all we are is our past experiences.
That's what I'm saying.
But
And so you do not
but
actually
that doesn't
have free
mean the
will.
future is past experience. That
No,
just means
you can gain past experiences
what we are
over
so
time.
far is past experience.
Right.
Right.
We can
And-
make more new experiences.
Right. But
I do. I do believe that you have free will to choose,
yeah.
because that's where you have to choose when you're at that level of depression to pull the trigger, jump, or whatever you do.
I'm not okay. When you have depressive thoughts, it's a very important thing to immediately think, no, those are wrong.
No. Well, this is the thing that I think a lot of things, what I think is wrong, is a lot of people will say to you, okay, if you sat there and told me, bro, you sat there and said, I want to kill myself, okay? What's the first reaction of most people that actually care about you? Bro, you shouldn't think, you can't, you shouldn't think that.
Well, it's your
What
right
the
to kill
first,
yourself if you want
this
to.
is the thing that they should, this is the thing that they should go and tell you, is you should acknowledge that those are depressive thoughts. If you can acknowledge that you're having depressive thoughts, where your conscious understands, hey, you just thought this,
Right.
that's a depressive thought. You need to understand that you are having that thought. If you understand that you are having that thought and that something needs to happen to it, then that's something
Right.
that
That's literally cognitive behavioral therapy. You're doing cognitive behavioral therapy on
well,
yourself.
because that's how I took. Because they always said that you can't have these thoughts. When I went to the psych ward and I fucking had a problem and shit, and I thought I was gonna kill myself.
Well, you definitely are. You are having these thoughts. So what you should do is acknowledge that you're having the bad thoughts and that they are
That's
from
the first
depression.
step. That's the first step.
Yeah.
Saying
it's-
to someone that's depressed, saying you shouldn't have those thoughts. What about the people that care about you? Well, they've already thought those fucking thoughts.
Yeah.
And those thoughts are the thoughts that are depressing them.
Yeah, and worsening their depression.
And saying to someone, you should know those are depressing thoughts. You should just at least just understand that right now you're having depressing thoughts, and just knowing that shows that, hey dude, I'm gonna go and I have these thoughts, I need to do something about it. I know I'm having these thoughts right now.
Yeah.
If you know that you're having depressing thoughts, that is the first step to get away from having those thoughts
Yeah.
and understanding why you're having those
Yeah.
thoughts.
Another good thing is to distance yourself from the things. Like if there's something, like mine was caused by physical, like phenomena, like being at work, being yelled at by my boss, that kind of stuff. So as soon as I would stop working, my depression would lessen, and the longer I was off work without having to think about going back to work, it kept getting less and less. And
Well,
now-
So we said earlier, low energy, right? Okay, this is how it was explained to me.
you need to hold forks.
So we got forks.
Yeah.
So take a fork for getting up in the morning. Take a fork for making breakfast in the morning. Take a fork for using the bathroom. Take a fork for showering. before long you have no
One
forks
fork
left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for normal people, those things don't wear you down, but for people that are depressed,
Yeah.
little tiny things are so hard to do that they'll wear you down to nothing.
Right. I always felt like the things that I was battling, and goes along with what Arthur was saying, is like, yeah, when you have severe depression, little things will wear you down, where you continue to do it, but it gets to a point where you don't have anything left. A little small thing will make you blow up, or just completely run you down and make you close off. Like you said, like you closed yourself off, dude.
Yeah.
You closed yourself off to the world. You didn't want to be a part of it, and all you wanted to do was sleep because that was the only time
Yeah.
that you.
And the only things I got up to do were to go drinking, because Evan would be like, "You want to come over?" and I'd be like, "No," and he'd be like, "There's booze," and I would drown my sorrows in alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I would drink like an entire 30 rack to myself on those days.
Anyways, 2020 was the worst year of my life, and it was because my dad died.
Mm-hmm.
And because the way I am an overthinker. I do think of things to an extent where there's a reason why, you know, I think the way that I do. I try to think 3 steps ahead. If I say a sentence to you, dude, I've already thought out in my head 3 different versions of what you could say back to me.
Mm-hmm.
Of what I think that you could say back to me. If I said it in this way or this way or this way. You know what I'm saying? So that's always how my brain was. And when I lost my dad, dude, my dad was always like, my dad, he wasn't, I'm not going to say he was rough on me. He was stern on me to make sure I was like a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But then also gave me my freedom to be my own person. And my dad was always that one person, because I feel like in the world, if there's one thing that I have noticed, is it doesn't matter if you are the poorest of poor, person that grows up in poverty to an extent where it's terrible to a heavy extent, but I always feel like in this world you have a person that, whether he's a family member or a friend, they're close enough to you where they are that's your person, okay? And my dad was my person. He was my best friend. He was my mentor. He was everything to me. Because me and my mom didn't fucking get along. We didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just wasn't. I always had these things that are part of my trauma that I just remember that made it so, literally when I lost my dad, all the things that I thought that might happen, happened. And it was always the worst possible situation. And knowing something before it happens is it could be a gift. If you were fucking sitting there gambling, yeah, that's a fucking gift.
Yeah.
I know this is gonna pop up, I'm gonna fucking cash out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great when it happens like that. And that's always the best situation that you want to fucking get.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know what's going to happen and it's not something that you're fucking, like, it's not something that you want or you strive to have, and it happens, it sucks. It's a part of being depressed. Like literally, like, my dad died, and my internal thoughts were, no matter what I do to console my family members on my side of the family, because at this point I had just been married for a couple months, and like I was like, I have 2 families, you know, I have my side of the family, I have my mom and my wife's side,
Yeah.
and my wife's side has been close family to me too. Like I call my wife's mom, I call fucking her grandpa, papa, you know?
Yeah.
And like they're just as close as, and the way of closest that I'm talking about is basically like I would go over there and just hang out with them, and if I needed help I would run to them, like, but I always ran to my dad.
Yeah.
And I always thought that if I lose my dad, I lose most of my family. And I did. I lost my sister because me and my sister do not get along. And she did some things that if I did, I wouldn't have gotten away with. And my mom, she's done some things in life that I never approved of.
Yeah.
And it always hurt me. And my mom, I knew that when they got married right before he died, and my parents were never married my whole life. I was a fucking bastard child. My parents weren't married, you know what I mean? They were never married their whole life, and my dad, all I cared about was hanging out with him. I didn't care about the will, and he would try to tell me about it and whatever, and I just didn't care. I said, I don't care, dude, I'm here to spend time with you, and enjoy the time that we have together. Well, my mom got married to him, and the only thing that I ever heard from my dad was that when I die, you get my truck, you come and pick it right up. Well, I didn't get that truck because fucking went through probate, and the will got changed because my mom got married to her and she got an executive order paper. So I knew things were going to be different. I knew I was supposed to get certain things. I didn't get them. And I didn't care. To be honest with you, you look at my face, dude, I really didn't care about that because all I cared about was how my family felt. And possessions are fucking nothing. Money is nothing. Possessions are nothing. If you get money, if you worry about having money all the time, then what happens when you die and you have all that saved up money? Nothing. It fucking goes away. Well, I didn't care about possessions. The only possessions that I did care about was the truck, because in my mind, some of the last conversations that we had with my dad was him trying to beat it in my head. Bro, hey, I want you to at least know that you're getting that truck. That's yours. You know? And so it hurt me because I never got it. I brought it up to my house and it sat in my garage for a year, but it never got worked on or anything because I couldn't get the title from my mom. And my mom went and immediately, as soon as Dad died, went and got the title transferred into her name. And I asked multiple times to get it. I never got it. I even gave her money to fucking go and buy, when you lose a title, you go and you call the state and they send you a new title and shit. Well, yeah. Gave her money, never got it. So, and then I heard about, some certain things, through a lawyer and through my grandpa about things I was supposed to get, and I didn't get it. And then it was to the point where my fucking sister, my mother, went, and so, to get to the point of it, I guess, because I'm going off topic here, is depression is about anxiety too. Can be about anxiety too, because I did have those anxieties. I did feel like I thought I was gonna separate from my sister, even though I tried, and I even though I wanted to try, and I did try, and I tried my hardest. So that's what made it hurt more. To have it known that I knew the outcome, I knew it was gonna happen. And even though I put my best effort and really tried to feel and make sure they knew that I loved them and I wanted the best for them, it just made me madder when everything started to go the wrong way, and I started to be like, what the fuck? They did this and they did that, and I got fucking jack squat when, But it made me hurt, and then it made it hurt to think about Dad, because all I could think about was, my sister and my mother always got taken care of. You know what I mean? My sister, I had a rich family. I'd never went out to go see them. My sister got flown out to Michigan, got to hang out with them, do all this stuff. The only time I ever met my rich part of my family is when I came up here. Yeah. And I remember that Amber was always had special care and special treatment, and my mom loved her way more than she loved me. And so my dad was me. And my dad knew that. He loved me. And he if I was in trouble, I didn't go to fucking mom. I went to dad. You know what I mean? So I lost that, and losing that, you kind of feel like, okay, where do I go? Who do I talk to? And with me, it was latching on. I would latch on to somebody and just want to hang out with them if they made me feel good or happy. Which was a mistake because I got manipulated and used because of it. Because of my depression, because all I was seeking was comfort.
Right.
And even if it was just distraction from my depression, until you acknowledge the depression, you're just losing your battle. And that's why I say, like, depression is a fight of the mind. And every morning, if you win that fight in the morning to just be okay with whatever's going on, and which can be shutting off any worries for the future, or thinking about the future because your depression, because it could be from the past too.
Yeah. Definitely.
If you just choose to be in the present moment, in that first bit, when you wake up in the morning, if you choose to be in the present moment and just be happy to be there in that present second when you first wake up, it makes it so much easier to acknowledge anything that comes your way.
If you are suicidal, there is help out there.
Yeah,
We're gonna put the national
suicide prevention hotline.
Yep.
on the screen for you.
Yeah, and even though we
Please call the number if you need to.
always,
Yeah.
if you ever need help, the best thing that you can do
Just reach out.
is reach out to somebody. My last word on depression is that understand that depression is about your fight in your mind. And sometimes fighting a battle by yourself is a losing battle. But that doesn't mean that you can't win the battle. That's another episode of Threzzy and the D's. Like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you next time.